Hey there, everyone. I'm Rob Tiongson, NMPA journalist and editor-in-chief of the Podium Finish. Today, we're back to doing Diecast Talk on my official YouTube channel, and I'm excited because this is not just any other ordinary diecast, or any diecast in particular. We're going to do a nice, cool review of a really special diecast car from our friends at Lionel Racing, and it's not just 124 scale standard diecast car that you can get at the racetrack or online, but rather the Elite Premier Edition of a special diecast car that has a winning story from this year. So, what could possibly be underneath this box? Why don't we find out? So, I'm going to do a little unboxing and hold this mic at the same time. And just put the mic down on the floor. And we'll take this box really carefully. All right. And lo and behold, this car wants to get out of the box sooner than later. But I promise you, we'll do the unboxing, and it's going to be really neat to see what's here. So, first of all, if you're a diecast collector since the 1990s, this box design should bring back some nostalgia because doesn't this remind you of 1997, folks? First of all, I gotta love this design with the gold E, the Elite Premier Edition logo and lettering. The packaging definitely brings back times when I was in my early teens when I couldn't get these diecast cars and begged my mom. And, I saw this on Beckett Racing magazine. I wanted a Jeff Gordon Elite diecast car. Now they didn't have Elite Premier editions back in 1997, so I can only imagine what excitement is underneath this. But it's just really cool. Of course, this box has Lionel Racing's logo, the official diecast of NASCAR. So yeah, you can see that. All the legalities, if you like to read that kind of stuff like me, I'll read here. You're not here for that, right? You're here to see what's underneath this box. So let's go ahead. And I'm going to sort this to the side. And I'm going to then put this back down. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to hide this for suspense, people. So, taking it out of the box very carefully. All right. And I'm going to put some things on the table just so y'all can see it. The same exact things I can see, you'll see too. So, get those here. All right. Now the box is right here. Are you folks ready? Because I know I am. Here it is. Look at this. This indeed, folks, is, yes, William Byron's number 24 Axalta Ruby Red 40th anniversary diecast car, the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 that was revealed during Daytona 500 Speed Weeks. Of course, all the Hendrick cars had a ruby red base with most of their typical colors for their sponsors on the car, but this is just so amazing to look at. Well, first of all, like I always like to say, it reminds me of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where the folks at Lionel Racing must have snuck into Hendrick Motorsports shop, and they got their, that shrinking gun, or pretty much was able to just get this diecast car basically from what was in the shop into this, because let me tell you, this is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the case very carefully. First of all, I gotta give a lot of credit to Lionel Racing for the attention to detail to make sure that this is not just your standard Lionel 124 scale car, which of course their cars are amazing to me and I'd love to have them in my collection, but the fact that this lets you know that this one stands out amongst the rest. Like, look at this. This is really, really cool. Now, I'm one of those diecast collectors who never takes them out of the base. Some of y'all like to do that because you like to look at every single detail. So I'm going to do it kind of the way I like to keep it, which is to keep it pretty much in the showroom condition, as I like to say it. But what makes these cars replicas so different from what you could get with Lionel Racing? Well, as you know, there's special edition packaging, which I just went over. which reminds me a lot of 1997 for sure. But look at the details, okay? Just incredible, right? This has the roof cam, which you can see during race days. The rear driver's side mirror, of course, right here on the roof where it says Axalta. That black little camera right there, can you see it? That's amazing details. We're going to open the hood in a little second just to show you how this works as well. But we'll also see that there's hood tethers. So if you are really technical about, hey, how much detail did Lionel Racing put? They did their homework on this for sure. And it also has the passenger window pull cord. Now, we're not going to do it with this one because I'm going to be careful with it. And the trunk does open up, which is really neat to see because it has the trunk tethers and a detailed fuel cell. So again, if you feel like you want to have something from the Hendrick Motorsports shop or your favorite team shop, and you obviously can't own one of these, it's a lot more easier to get a diecast car like this and know that you have something special in your hand that's not just anything, standard. This is something that is what I consider an investment, to say the least. But let's go ahead and let's go review the specifics about this car, the story behind it, before we go into the features. Now, before we get into reviewing the car, let's talk about what makes this car ruby red. Why the ruby red livery for William Byron's number 24 car? Now, of course, as you may remember, earlier this year, Hendrick Motorsports announced its 40th anniversary season commemoration of Hendrick Motorsports' inaugural season back in 1984 when they were known as All-Star Racing. So yes, that was during that time when Jeff Bodine drove the number 5 car, which is back, of course, with Kyle Larson. But the number 24 car in particular, we remember, of course, was founded back in 1992 when Jeff Gordon and crew chief Ray Abraham debuted the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet Lumina during the season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which has now evolved into, of course, the number 24 Axalta Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 with William Byron and crew chief Rudy Fugle. And you may remember this car being at the front of the field at Martinsville, so quite a familiar sight. And the ruby red, of course, that's the color for our 40th anniversary. So a fitting livery, a wrap job for a very familiar car. And of course, who doesn't remember the number 24 with flames? So it just adds another touch to have the ruby red color with the orange and yellow flames. It almost makes you feel like when I touch this car that I'm probably going to burn my hand with this car, but I assure you I'm fine. Look, but it's so cool to look at, and I just love the wrap job done by Hendrick Motorsports and the folks at Axalta to make this livery. And whoever designed this livery did their homework for sure. And Lionel Racing, of course, knocked it out of the ballpark, to say the least. Now, as always, I like to go and show, the overall look. So, of course, we know that this is a Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 from this season, 2024, in which you can see the Chevrolet bow tie logo, the ZL1 lettering as well on the grille. And then, of course, Hendrick Motorsports logo. It's hard to see, but it's that white lettering that you can see in the familiar Axalta flames, the yellow 24 font, which you've known since the late part of 1992 when Jeff Gordon debuted in the season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and then the blue Sunoco logo on the bottom left and right fenders of this car. Of course, that's standard. And then on the hood itself, you can see that familiar Axalta logo with the big white A and the white lettering for Axalta, and the hood scoops as well, which I love. And if you can see the lighting, I'm trying to do it on purpose so you can see the hood scoop. That's is on the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Amazing job. I said this also in the Kyle Larson video for the standard car, but I love that they also accentuate this too on the Elite Premier Edition car, because look at this, right? You can see the accurate windshield design with the gold Chevrolet OEM logo on the upper left-hand side of the windshield, and then that air vent, which of course the drivers have to have because of the way that these next-gen cars heat up much faster than their previous counterparts. Love that they did that. And William Byron's last name, of course, is on the upper right-hand side of the windshield. You can see that Earnhardt bar, of course, on the in the dashboard of the car, and then you can see the ignition switches, all the switches that the drivers would go and tap into, and you can kind of see the inner working too of the driver's compartment, which is really neat. As you all know, if you've gone to a race or you've seen the up close view of the cars, look at how tight that driver's compartment is, right? If you're from the night, you grew up and watched NASCAR in the 1990s, you remember how those driver's seats look a little bit more relaxed, but you can tell they're custom molded to fit each driver, and it almost feels like this diecast car is deliberately waiting for a diecast version of William Byron to be in this car. I love that. And you can see even the dashboard, which it's a lot more high tech than what it was even a few years ago before they got to the Gen 6 car in this next gen car. The electronic dashboard, which we remember being introduced in 2015, that's all there. Now, of course, as standard with the diecast review, I like to go over the the decals as well. It's the primary sponsorship and contingencies. So, of course, we have that NASCAR Cup Series logo. That's going to be on the sides of the car next to the yellow 24 logo. And then, of course, William Byron's Associates, HendrickCars.com, which will be on that right by his name rail. And then Valvoline, of course. Then the 40 for the Hendrick Motorsports 40th anniversary. Liberty University, one of William Byron's longtime sponsors, I believe since 2015 when he ran in what was then the NASCAR K&N Series East division, now, of course, ARCA Menards Series East. Z by HP and Relay Payments. And then, of course, if you want to get the inner workings of those associates that you see between the windows of the car, Chevrolet, Axalta, Cincinnati Industries, Climb, Freightliner, Mac Tools, and Siemens Technology. And then also, I love the fact that they did this, right? We have the rear windshield, of course, William Byron's last name on there, Axalta on the roof, those roof flaps, which do deploy, of course. And then we know that you can see the DIN, of course, on this car. That tells you what number it is out of the line that was made for this. I know for a fact that this is number 59 of 100. Yes, they only make 100 of these, folks. So if you really want to get yourself an Elite Premier Edition car, it's not like the 1990s. You want to make sure you get your hands on these as soon as the pre-order window is open. But you can also see that the rear spoiler. Look at that. That's really specific to how the short track package works out. I love that they have that Lexan material around the rear spoiler, of course, with those bolts. The black Chevrolet bow tie logo, the Axalta lettering, Valvoline's logo, the Camaro emblem on the bottom of the bumper, the ZL1, and the yellow and black 24 numbering as well. And of course, the driver's side, of course, matches what's on the right side of the car. Also, too, the fact that we also have these little parts right here where they want to make a wedge adjustment to the car. Of course, that's still a thing in NASCAR. I love that they have those on there as well, which really, really makes it so neat. You almost feel like you could make an adjustment to make this car handle a little bit better to your liking if you want to do that kind of thing to your diecast car. I don't, but some of y'all might want to do that. So we're going to go ahead, move ahead, and I'll show you the opening of the hood, like what's inside it, and we'll see what the driver's compartment or the engine compartment looks like here in a second. All right, so as you can see, I've got the hood partially opened. You may have a little technique to do that. I try to very carefully open it with my fingertips. Once you do that, you can see the hood of this car, which we rarely get to see with the Hendrick Motorsports cars because they're really reliable, of course, but they're, as I said in the beginning of this video, the hood tethers, you can see them. They're all right there for sure. And you can see all of those details that Lionel Racing paid attention to with Hendrick Motorsports. That gold Chevrolet OEM logo. And Raptor, of course, Axalta's truck bed lining product with Liberty University, Valvoline, Z by HP, Relay Payments, and one of Hendrick Motorsports' longtime associate sponsors, I want to say since 2002, Wix Filters. But here, this is really cool, right? Now, you know that for a fact that this is a next-gen car because they certainly look a lot different from the Cup cars that your grandparents and your parents grew up to, or even your older siblings grew up to, our friends, of course, from the 1990s. Look at this, right? Just how detailed that engine block is, and how it's really OEM specific too. And of course, the vents that the hood scoops are there for the air to go and come from out inside the car and outside of the car to keep the engine as cool as possible. Really well done. I love that this is done. You can almost feel like you can touch the engine compartment and feel those grooves in the engine. Now, I've never done that personally, but if you like that kind of thing, go for it. You can do it definitely with the diecast car. I would not recommend doing that to a real car, but the hood tethers just adds a lot of bonus to the features of this car, the details of this car. Really, really well done. It just feels like you have the real stock car from Hendrick Motorsports right here in your hands. And another thing I love with the mold that Lionel does with the Elite Premier editions, and of course you can see this with standard cars, but I love that they're OEM specific. I love that they definitely did their homework on how the Chevrolet Camaro has that groove with the front splitter. Now let's talk about the trunk opening, because I showed you all about the hood opening. Yes, the trunk does open. So I'm going to demonstrate. You just carefully open it from the rear spoiler. And there you go. Look at that. There's your trunk tethers, which is one of the cool features of the Elite Premier edition of the diecast I'm reviewing right here. And you can see the compartment for the fuel area, and also to just all the inner workings that a team like Hendrick Motorsports would put into the rear of the car, the trunk area in particular. And this is not just like another diecast car where the rear may not open, or if it does open, you don't see this much detail. I mean, you pretty much feel like, if I can zoom in a little better here with my phone, just look at that. The details, the electronics, the compartments that put this car together. It's not just the engine compartment, of course. We know that these next gen cars, or any stock cars, have a lot of work put into them, and the folks at Lionel Racing definitely did a great job to replicate that in diecast form with this Elite Premier Edition. So I just love the attention to details, how it looks very specific to what the Chevrolet Camaro trunk area would look like if it rolled out of Hendrick Motorsports' campus in Concord, North Carolina. So there you go, folks. All the details that you could ever want in a diecast car. It's all right here, to say the least. You remember, of course, with Williams' car for this season for the Axalta paint scheme, or delivery, or wrap job, however you want to call it. This is actually a white diecast car, but for the Spring Martinsville race earlier this year, all of the Hendrick Motorsports entries had a ruby red wrap for the base, and the secondary colors remained the same for their sponsors. Now, you may remember in the race that it was actually not, there was no black block around the Axalta letterings on the sides. Now, the reason why that's there, that's the way that paint scheme or livery was revealed before the season began, and that's how it even looked when it was unveiled during Daytona 500 Speed Week. So, of course, if you're like, hey, hang on, that's not what that looks, trust me, this is how Axalta had your wrap job done before they did some slight revisions after the season began, which, of course, Lionel Racing does pay attention to. They definitely do their homework on that. And yes, there is going to be a race version Elite Premier Edition of this car. So if you're looking for the one that looked exactly like the one that won at Martinsville and led the Hendrick Motorsports 123, the first since the 1997 Daytona 500, you can certainly get your pre-orders in for that. If not, well, sorry to tell you, you missed out on that window, because I'm glad I have this version right here in my hands. It's really, really well done. Now, the things that makes this also so special too, if you really love to display your diecast car out of its case and you're worried about dust, well, they came up with this Elite Premier Edition wipe that you can use, so you can get the dust out of your diecast car, keep it clean as possible. So don't worry, this diecast car is not gonna look dusty and messy. If it's out there, it's gonna look really, really clean. So well done on that. And of course, we have a certificate of authenticity that lets us know that this certificate verifies and confirms that we have number 59 of 100 from Lionel Racing, which is really, really limited. So you better get your hands on this for sure. So it's a really strict limited edition series of these Elite Premier Edition diecast cars, and it certainly embodies what it looked like when it was revealed at Daytona 500 Speed Weeks. And we also have this nice certificate too from Howard Hitchcock, the Chief Executive Officer of Lionel, letting you know that you have something really special in your hands. So I love when diecast companies take the time to really up the ante, make you feel like, hey, I didn't just get something from the racetrack or online and, I'm just going to add this to my collection of diecast cars. No, this is something really, really special that you're going to enjoy for the years to come, that is not just ordinary, but rather something really special. So if there's that one car or a few cars that you're really wanting in your collection, and you're like, man, I really want to get something that's going to stand out above the rest, I would absolutely recommend getting yourself an Elite Premier Edition diecast car. I mean, it goes without saying for me, this is a 10 out of 10 diecast car. I just love the details. Again, it's so beautiful to look at. It's incredible, the details, and just the color itself. Really well done. You can tell how Lionel really works closely with these teams and the sponsors. Of course, we all know how that process can be, but with Lionel Racing, they did their homework. Oh, look at that too. I mean, the diffuser in the back, that's just really well done. I love that touch as well when it comes to their homework with making the next gen diecast cars, which we all know it takes time to make these molds, but to make it to a really high level of detail and attention, well done. And that window net too, oh, that is just incredible. Yeah, I just love how they've done this for sure. And I'm not trying to be Dan Hughes during that show for QVC, Rate for Race Fans Only. I'm being really honest about this review. I love it. I would definitely want to get more in my collection for sure. And certainly, of course, with the details, you are going to pay a little higher price, but it's definitely worth it if you're looking for something that's going to be worth your time and investment. So head on over to Lionel Racing, of course, for all of these Elite Premier Edition diecast cars. That's where you can certainly take advantage of that. They're always offering as many as possible. MSRP typically starts off at $150, so not too bad. I mean, you're going to get something really cool that you can enjoy, to say the least. And in fact, for the William Byron car, unfortunately, for the race version, it's sold out. So for those who pre-ordered, you've got yourself something to look forward to a little later this year, early next year. Whenever it arrives, enjoy it. I know for me, I'm glad to have this one. So a lot of these are selling out really, really quick. So you better get on it to lionelracing.com/category /elite-premier-edition so you can get your hands on these Elite Premier Edition diecast cars. And if you want to see more diecast reviews for Diecast Talk, go ahead and click that like and subscribe buttons right now. And hopefully I'll get to do more of these in the near future. I do apologize for the delay, as I have kind of catches up with you, but to say the least, I'm really, really happy to have the opportunity to review this Elite Premier Edition diecast car. So let me know what you think in the comments below. You want to see more of these diecasts for reviews? What are your thoughts if you already have collected these? I want to hear from you folks, because the diecast community is a special one. It's a fraternity. It's not just a fraternity. It's a family for sure of people around the country, the world, that love racing, that love getting something that you can remember from a racing season many years down the road. So let me know what you think, and I can't wait to hear from you folks. So I'm Rob Tiongson. This is the latest edition of Diecast Talk, and if you want to check out all my racing content, go ahead and look me up on thepodiumfinish.net for your latest news of the world of motorsports and the world of sports in general. So till next time, folks, I will see you out there. Let's all go get that checkered flag. Thanks, everyone.